Pulkit,
Good morning, sir.
good afternoon, Pulkit. So, Pulkit, as I see, you belong to Jhajjar, Haryana, and you have done your BTech from IIT Banaras Hindu University and MTech also from IIT BHU. So, your extracurricular activities and your hobbies show that you are also you work in the areas of agroforestry, isn't it? You are fond of agroforestry.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so let me put this question. You recently agroforestry has become very popular, and can you tell me how forests help agriculture?
Okay, sir. Sir, forest helps agriculture by improving the microclimate. Otherwise, also it helps in improving the soil fertility and also changing the physiological conditions and the microclimate. It helps in uh, suiting. It is helpful in suiting the certain crops, which certain crops grow well in the shade. So by these benefits, primarily derived from the physiological uh, conditions it create, it can help the crops as well.
Okay, so which forest crop do you think brings maximum amount of revenue if used in the forestry in agriculture?
Sir, I think I am not aware about the one which will be bring maximum, but there are trees like tal and teak and sal, as well as trees like poplar and even the tonal eucalyptus. They are helping the farmers in generating economic revenue as well.
Okay. Tell me nowadays, there is a lot of talk and discussion on medicines pertaining to Ayurveda. And can you name some important medicinal plants? Five medicinal plants.
Sir, Arjun,
Okay.
Ashwagandha, then Babul.
Mhm,
I think neem is also helpful in Ayurveda.
mhm.
I can only recall these four right.
All right. Uh, Let me ask you about Rajya Sabha. Many people feel that Rajya Sabha is becoming a stumbling block in the landmark reforms. What is your view about it?
Sir, this view is primarily because of the obstruction it has created in recent times, and that is from since 1977. As we have seen, the dynamics of politics has been such that no time there has been a party which had majority in the Lok Sabha as well as the Rajya Sabha. So when we talk about it politically, we have seen that a number of times the policies have been obstructed in Rajya Sabha. So this is explaining your view when we say it has become a stumbling block. But what I believe, Rajya Sabha is very relevant in terms of the checks and balances it creates, in terms of the representation it gives to the states and other benefits, like it also helps people as nominated who come from the diverse fields.
Okay. Once upon a time, it used to be said that the politics of Haryana controls the politics of the country. Now, in which context was it said, and do you think it still holds good?
Sir, what I believe, Haryana is a small state, so that it will be controlling the entire politics. But I believe context could be in the context of Ayaram, Gayaram, or the defection for which Haryana was popular in the 1960s. And
Yes.
that's very unfortunate that Haryana has been linked with this particular aspect in terms of the national politics.
Okay. So let me ask you just final question. Uh, do you think Pakistani artists should be allowed to work in this country or not? Many Pakistani artists are coming to this country. So should they be allowed to work in this country or they should be banned?
Sir, on the principles, if you will ask, as a value, I will be very liberal in terms of welcoming any artist. But taking into consideration the kind of challenges it creates in terms of the feelings it generate among the masses, and an opinion is generated that it might reflect a view whereby we are not considerate the about the hardship that the Jawans are facing. For other aspect, it becomes very difficult for us to even take this principle forward.
Okay, so just one last thing which I would like to ask you, and that's a very general and mundane question. So, why do you think you should be selected in the civil services?
So for that, I believe I have certain skill set and especially my life experience. I was born in a rural background. Unfortunately, my father took to various cantonments, and I was very fortunate that I had a very good education. I lived in tier 2 cities. I lived in the cultural capital. I lived even in the metropolitan cities. And I have a very good understanding regarding our need of the society. And apart from this, I'm very passionate regarding any work which I'm offered, and I always try to excel in whatever field I'm working into, which I think could be seen even from whatever I have done till my in my life.
Okay, thank you, Ashok ji.
Thank you, sir.
Pulkit, you did your BTech in 2015. Since then, what have you been doing?
Sir, after my dual degree course, I had a 1 year job experience in DRDO. Then thereafter, I prepared for the civil services wholeheartedly. And since 2018, again, I'm in the profession and working in the edutech sector.
Which sector? Edutech.
Sir, edutech, educational technology.
Which company?
Sir, I was initially working with Sparking Educations Limited. And now since my mains, I'm working with a startup right now.
In your hobbies also you have mentioned whiteboard explainer videos. Can you explain what are you doing there?
Sir, I am using the softwares in this regard. So it is a kind of a medium whereby I can express myself, bridging the conventional whereby artists used to portray or paint. So by using software, I'm able to add some animation features as well, and I can convey regarding the various things about which I can think, or if I want to explain certain aspect.
So for whom is it useful?
Sir, if you want to talk about its usefulness, it has a varied application. It could be used as a tool for advertisement, which the industry is using. It can be used as a tool for persuasion, and even government can also use it for spreading awareness regarding its various policies. And it could be, I think, a very innovative means of achieving the same thing that we were earlier achieving through Nukkad Nataks, and especially after the emergence of social media. This could be a very useful tool in that regard.
Okay. Now, tell me, what was the size of GDP last year? Our own country's GDP?
Sir, we are around 3 trillion US dollar size of the economy, approximately.
3 trillion.
Yes, sir,
It
3
was
trillion.
it was 2.7 trillion to be exact.
Yes, sir, I remember it only approximately.
Close to that, yes. But when you talk in trillions of dollars, you have to be more exact in
Sure,
that
sir. Sure.
sense. Now, there is a talk about India achieving $5 trillion economy by the year 2025. Do you think currently, when it is $2.7 trillion, can we achieve this target by 25?
So pragmatically speaking, we won't be able to achieve. Because even if we look at the growth rate required,
Okay. What factors do you think can lead to this achievement?
sir, we can definitely aspire to achieve as far nearer we can go it. And I think factors will be the same to have some structural changes in the fundamentals of economy. Like if we talk about, we have to create value addition in our processes, it is food processing industry, reforms in terms of the supply chain in the industry sector, and as well as promoting more of the services. And one important factor which I can identify is that we are predominantly a consumption economy. Around 50% of our GDP is derived from our own consumption. But in that also a significant share is captured by the imports. So if we can even cater to that aspect also, we can significantly achieve a lot in terms of the development. And apart from this, we can definitely focus on the exports. But seeing the kind of situation that we are having globally, that might be very difficult right now. So sir, this could be some of the preliminary analysis regarding how we can move forward.
But can agriculture do something about it? Can
Yes, sir.
agriculture play its role in achieving this target?
Sir, definitely, if we go for more value addition processes, if
What is the contribution of agriculture in our GDP?
sir, direct contribution is only about 17%. But if we take agriculture, indirectly, it also contributes in the manufacturing processes. And there is something where we need to focus more in terms of the value addition if we want to have a substantial impact on the combination.
What do you think are the major shortcomings of our agriculture sector?
Sir, for that, I will identify with 4 M's. First is regarding dependence. For first time is monsoon. We are highly dependent on monsoon. We are only having irrigation facility to only about 50% of the agricultural area. Then my next M will be money. That is availability of capital, especially for the small and marginal farmers. Next M will be markets. The reforms that we need in order to make it more remunerative for the farmers and people and improve efficiencies in the supply chain of the markets. And last M will be regarding the mines. In this, I want to refer regarding the decisions that a farmer make. They need to be made aware. We need to hinder the phenomena of the cobweb that we see in the pulses. We need to make them aware regarding the negotiable warehouse receipts that are available so that they can make better decisions in terms of diversifying the agricultural products as well. So, sir, my analysis is based on these 4 M's that are the areas on which our agriculture should focus.
Why then there is so much resistance to the central laws, 3 laws which the government passed last year,
Yes, sir,
and
definitely.
though they are purported to be in favor of the farmers.
Yes, sir, definitely. They were very informative in this regard, and they would have definitely helped in the if they would have adopted in the spirit for which the laws were going in. But I think there were certain challenges in the way the policies were introduced. There was lack of taking the confidence of the farmers in this regard, generating more information of awareness regarding the real intent of the reforms, and as a result of this, it eventually ended in a political breakdown.
So, what is the lesson that you draw out of this whole episode of farm laws in terms of governance?
Sir, my lesson will be regarding participatory aspect of the governance and generating more information whenever we are going for such radical changes with respect to such issues. So this will be my 2 key lessons from this.
Okay, now tell me, what is the difference between CBI and CVC?
Sir, first difference arises from CVC is a statutory body, and CBI lacks that kind of a statute is not right now clear with that. And then if you talk about CVC is dealing with the vigilance aspect, it deals primarily around corruption. CBI also deals to some aspect regarding corruption, but its mandate is more wider than that. It can be also used for investigating other crimes as well.
So when it comes to corruption, both the agencies have a parallel jurisdiction?
Yes, sir, that is in fact one of the challenges that we are having in the curbing corruption. But what I believe, there is, I think, primacy of the CVC in this regard. When CBI is working on corruption-related cases, it has to eventually report its finding to the CVC.
To the CVC? Report the findings to the CVC?
Sir, I'm not sure whether it is in the hierarchical structure or it is a cooperative manner, but I think to some level they cooperate on this regard.
So what, and tell me, what is the difference between investigation and inquiry?
Sorry, sir, I'm not very
okay
clear regarding the.
Recently, G7 meeting was held, group of 7 countries. Where was it held?
So it was held in UK.
And what were the major outcomes of that meeting? Major pronouncements that they did?
Sir, first was regarding building back better and greener. Then second was commitment regarding providing 1 billion doses to the developing countries by the next year. And they also had some kind of cooperation regarding how they should move forward regarding climate change.
Anything with regard to China?
Sir, I cannot recall exactly, but I think there was a subtle reference to it, not a overt reference to the kind of situation that we are facing due to Chinese policies.
Now, lastly, what is the hydrogen mission? And
Sir,
why has it been set up?
Sir, in the hydrogen mission, we want to increase the share of hydrogen as a fuel in the entire energy mix-up that we are having. And the reasons for setting this mission is because of the advantages that hydrogen as a fuel brings. Firstly, it is a more cleaner form of energy vis-a-vis the other hydrocarbons. Secondly, also it is also having a good calorific value, which is about 3 times the conventional fuel that we are using right now.
What is green hydrogen then?
Sir, the green hydrogen will be the hydrogen which is produced from processes that are environmentally friendly. Because hydrogen,
like what?
sir, this could be from the process where we can have decomposition of water. That could be one process. Then we can look for other processes like using the decomposition of the waste. That could be also a good source of it.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Dagoreji.
Pulkit,
Good afternoon, sir.
good afternoon. You were mentioning about importance of Haryana politics. What is actually contribution of Lals in the Haryana politics?
Sir,
You remember Lals?
yes, sir.
Three
I
Lals,
do.
three Lals of Haryana.
Yes, sir. I think Bansi Lal was one. Devi Lal. I cannot recall the third one.
Most important one. How you can forget?
Sorry, sir.
What was their contribution in the Haryana politics?
Sir, the contribution is from the because they predominantly focus on the issues that the farmers have, and as a result of what I don't recall the exact hierarchy in this regard. I think the first leader among this hierarchy, he had a significant cult following among the people, and later on the thing has been similar to what we have seen in terms of dynastic politics, which is, I think, very common in the entire country as such.
What was the role of one of them during emergency?
Sir, I think it was regarding the, so he had participated in the social re-emergence of the socialist movements, and afterwards we had.
I'm asking about emergency, during emergency. Which
Sorry,
one
sir,
played
I
a
think-
very important role?
Sorry, sir,
During
sorry, sir, I cannot recall exactly
You can guess actually, it is not difficult.
Okay, sir, if I have to take a guess, what I believe, he would, I am just guessing, he would have contributed significantly regarding freedom of speech. He would have given a.
He means who? He means which one out of three?
Sir, sorry, sir,
Three Lals,
sir, I
which
had
one
told,
played an important role?
sir, I had told I am not able to recall the exact which one we are talking in this regard. But
Okay, no.
I think it might be Devi Lal, because I think he also became the vice prime minister in 1980s.
I'm talking about emergency.
Sorry, sir, I cannot recall.
Okay, now tell me, you are posted as an SP in one of the districts in Haryana. What will be your 3 priorities to control the crime and how you will do it?
Sir, my first priority will be regarding the reporting of the crime. I will make it more easier by using the ICT tools or using the e-filing of FIR tools like this. Second will be, I'll be specifically focused on those areas from which I find could be high rise of criminal activities, especially if we talk in context of Haryana, because of the kind of unequal development it has
You will be
seen.
competent? Are you?
Sir, that is the thing, but I think I will be competent enough to take these steps at the level of the authority that I'm assigned as a leader at the district level. I can definitely take steps in this regard, although I may not have a radical change, but I can definitely improve these aspects.
But FIR is a common format for, all the states, and there is actually procedure. There is a provision for that. How an SP can change it?
Sorry, sir, then I'm not aware. If that is the case, if the SP is not having the authority, then he might nudge the state government regarding bringing a reform in this regard. So if this is the case, because I'm really not aware what is the limitation of an SP with respect to this. And talking
What
about
you will do? What? See, what you will do in investigation? That investigations are more. See, more acceptable. They can stand in the court in the scrutiny of law. And what you will do?
so in this regard, I think first,
You have a technical background.
okay, sir. In this regard, I think first I will have to find out what are my powers, what is the limitation of my authority, and if permitted, I will definitely segregate the investigating part and the regular policing activities. I might go for a special team which will be dedicated for this, provided I have authority for this. Then next, I could increase the surveillance in areas which are reporting high criminal activities or which could be seen as the area.
So, Pulkit, I specifically ask now, what tools you will use in an investigation of the crime?
Sir, I think in this, the traditional tools regarding the procedure established by the law will be the guiding light for me. The proper training should be given to the investigators. And I think at this level, I can only think about this, sir. I'm not aware about the intricacies of the profession. I can only think about this right now.
Okay, tell me, which are the provisions in the law for protection of the weaker sections of the society? What are the provisions?
Sir, it is derived from the constitutional protection, right from the fundamental rights, and then the DPSPs empower the states to create special conditions for them. If we talk specifically the laws, we are having a number of laws, and if we try identifying the vulnerable section, if we talk about first and foremost the SCs and STs, they have a significant Civil Rights Act right from 1955, which was amended in 1989. Then if we talk about in terms of gender, women have a number of legislations like domestic.
So, for the protection of SCs and STs, we have only civil rights. You are mentioning about civil rights.
Yes, sir. The law on civil rights and for scheduled rights.
What is that law? What is that law on civil rights for SC, ST?
Sir, that law, what we have envisaged in the constitution, it made it more specific regarding certain offenses like offenses of untouchability. It made it a penal offense. Then certain.
I'm asking, what is that law actually? Pulkit, what is that law?
Okay, sir. That law is for the benefit for.
Tell me the name. Tell me the name of that enactment.
Sir, I'll try it. I think the name is Prevention of Atrocities and against SCs and STs. Somewhere it goes. I may not be correct in the entire wordings, but the idea is around this prevention of atrocities against scheduled caste and scheduled tribe.
What are the provisions? What are the provisions in that law?
Sir, the provisions are as wide as if someone is found offending or maligning them in the public, like the practices of garlanding them with footwear, it is made a penal offense. If there are adversary comments passed against such a person, if it is reported, steps will be taken with that regard. And it also prevents against the institutional discrimination if it is reported.
Is there any provision for the compensation?
Sorry, sir, I cannot recall exactly whether if it is there or what will be the amount in that regard.
Okay, tell me the last question. What are the laws to protect forest?
Sir, it's the Forest Conservation One was the Colonial Act in 1927. Then we had a Forest Conservation Act in 1980. Apart from this, incidentally, we can use the provisions in the Wildlife Act also. Incidentally, we can use it, although it may not have a direct implication. Even I think the National Biodiversity Act can also be used incidentally in this regard.
There was conflict of interest. You see, the forest dwellers, the people who were staying in the forest, particularly tribal people, they were not happy with this piece of legislation. They said that actually we are so. Then certain changes came in the law. What are those changes? And that addressed the problems of the tribals and forest dwellers.
Sir, that law that we are talking is the Forest Right Act in 2006, whereby it had a certain upper ceiling regarding the property rights for the dwellers in the forest. It also gave them collective rights on the forest produce, as well as regarding their indigenous rearing practices. So these were the provisions that were introduced in the Forest Rights Act 2006.
Okay, thank you, Pulkit.
Thank you, sir.
Gauri Shankarji.
Pulkit, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, sir.
Now you come from Panchkula. Is there any significance of this name, Panchkula?
Yes, sir. If we talk about name significance, Panch Kula is irrigation canals. So the area derives its name from the 5 canals that were made in this area. And right now, some of them are, they take the water from the Ghaggar to the areas of the Mansa Devi.
Okay. Now you were talking about dynastic politics. There is a view in the country that if a party does not have democracy in its own party, how can they provide democratic governance to the country? So this is the accusation against Congress party by BJP. So what are your views on that?
Sir, definitely, sir. If you talk about democratic principles, they should be in all the institutions that we are having. And especially if you talk about inner party democratic principles, they should be followed. But I think it's easier said than done, because we have to again see the kind of politics that we are having. Historically, if you talk about the common person, he still identifies with the families which are very popular in this regard, either if you talk at the national level or at the so this is the reality that we are having in terms of our political dynamics right now.
So you consider this as a reality of our politics today. How do you think we can get rid of it? Is there a way out?
Sir, I think nudging the parties in terms of holding this inner party election would be one thing, making the ticket allocation process more transparent. Or we can also, this I think it will be much better if we have a behavioral change in the politics rather than bringing a legal aspect in this. Although we can try it, but it will be better if reforms comes from within the party. And at the end of the day, sir, it will be always very grateful if people realize this and they change their voting preferences in this regard, so that eventually it leads to a change from the grassroots level.
Okay. Now tell me, what is an ordinance and when can it be brought?
Sir, ordinance is a way of legislation, and it is brought provided under the Constitution under Article 123, I think. And it is a way whereby you can take care of the emerging imminent situation that might have arisen, and Parliament may not be able to deal with it, seeking the paucity of the time because of the challenge might have come across.
Is it because the Parliament cannot deal with this challenge, or because the Parliament is not in session?
Sir, principally it should have been according to if it is not able to pass it and it was imminent. But yes, practically in recent times we have seen that many times this route has been used so as to bypass the legislation. But eventually I think there is a safety valve here also, because any ordinance needs to be passed by the houses when they reorganize. So I believe it's good if we follow it in the principle of in short term application, it will have a more healthier reflection of the democracy.
So what is the maximum period when the ordinance can continue and has to be brought to the parliament?
Sir, I'll take a guess on this. I think it's around 6 months from when the house is reorganized. I'm not very sure, but I'm taking a guess on this.
Okay. Now, recently, the Prime Minister made a very important statement on the land degradation. What is that statement? Talking about agriculture and irrigation and all that. So what do you mean by that statement and when was it made?
Sorry, sir, I cannot recall the exact statement. It's very difficult for me to remember it word by word.
Do you know the sense of that statement?
Sir, essence I think will be regarding the degradation that we are seeing as a result of desertification, the over irrigation that we are having, turning of wastelands. So I think essence would have to revolve around it. Highlighting these problems, we cannot talk regarding land degradation in India.
Yeah, you come from an agricultural state. So the land degradation is one of the major problems, not only in India, but around the world.
Yes, sir, definitely, sir.
So PM made a statement just 3 days ago that 2.6 crore hectares of land, which has degraded in India, will be restored to healthy land, healthy farmland by 2030, which is a very major statement because putting the degraded land into healthy state is not an easy process. Now, can you tell me what is the concept of welfare state? What do you mean by welfare state?
So if I talk about welfare state, a state which thinks about all, especially the vulnerable section, and some goes on the principle of inclusive growth, whereby it not only protects the rights, these political rights especially, but also enables them so that they can achieve whatever they want to achieve without any social or economic hindrances in that regard.
Is that the meaning of welfare state?
Sir, I think this is my interpretation, but I think the principles will be revolving around this.
No, it's a much wider concept.
Sure, sir. Maybe I would.
You need to do little more study on this.
Sure, sir.
This is very important concept.
Sure, sir.
And now can you tell me what is UNCLOS, UNCLOS?
Sir, this is a convention regarding the on open sea, and it has been
Convention regarding
laws on open sea. Or which
what is the full name of this UNCLOS?
Sir, United Nations Convention on Laws Open Sea.
Okay, it's not entirely correct, but okay.
So, sorry, sir, might be I am not getting one of the words right, but I believe it is dealing with the open the area where no national jurisdiction lies, and it can be seen as a common source for the entire world. The water, especially the ocean waters. That is its sphere of dealing.
But
that.
what are the salient features of this law?
So the most salient feature is regarding principle of FONOP, that is freedom of navigation in the open waters, and it also talks about the way by which you have to deal whenever you want to have an extraction in this area. Like when India had gone for its in the mid-oceanic region regarding the manganese modules, it had to take permission under the provisions of this law.
Yeah, there are many more.
Yes,
what is territorial sea? What is the exclusive economic zone? And then how to protect oceans from contamination and pollution.
Thank you, sir, for giving me
Okay, now there was actually yesterday there was a meeting between President of Russia and the President of United States in Geneva. What is the significance of that meeting and why that meeting happened?
Sorry, sir, I'm not aware of the exact circumstances in which this meeting has taken place.
But this is a meeting of global importance. And this will have implications for India as well. So we should know what is it about.
Sir, sorry, sir, I'm not aware of the exact issues they are dealing, but I think it could be on the issue regarding how to deal with the pandemic, especially using the vaccine production capacities. It could also be regarding stability in the Afghan region that could be on the agenda of this. It can also be regarding because of.
Don't guess it, because this is not guess. It has to
Sure.
be based on facts.
Sure, sir. I had.
Okay. Now, can you tell me, if I ask you what 5 measures you will suggest to improve India as a nation, what will be those 5 priorities?
Sir, my number one priority in this regard will be education. And in this education, not only for skill development, but also to generate more awareness regarding the rights that people have and how they can be made more democratic in their outlook. So the next will be regarding the improvement regarding the health facilities, especially focusing on preventive healthcare and the diseases that are resulting as a result of lifestyle, because the non-communicable diseases are becoming a silent disaster for us. Then the third aspect will be in the sectors of agriculture, especially promoting value addition through food processing industry and institutions like FPOs. Then sir, fourth aspect will be regarding promoting ease of doing business in the manufacturing sector. And sir, fifthly, I believe it will be regarding the inculcation of values that we are having historically, so that we can value guided progress in the current circumstances.
Okay. Now, my last question would be, you are working as district collector and also you are working in the capacity of what we call judicial magistrate in the district. Somebody who has indulged into corruption was brought to you. He has done some fraudulent activities and he came to you. The person tells you that, okay, I have done it, but all the others, big wigs, the ministers, the chief ministers, and other senior officers are also doing that. I have done a very small fraud of say 1 lakh rupees. They are indulging in a fraud of crores and even maybe more than that. So what would be your response to him?
Sir, my response will be that my actions are based on the rule of law. I can only act on the evidences. Yes, if you are having these allegations against them, if you can kindly provide with the evidences, so it's quite possible proceedings will be initiated against them also. But seeing his confession, when he has himself confessed, so I think he cannot ask for sympathy on these lines that whatever he is having, that just an iota from the sea of the wealth that the others have created. He has to be seen as per the rule of law. And if he is having allegations against them, he should definitely bring out in a formal manner. And if in case he can help in generating evidences, so it might be that we can also ask for some compensation based on the rules that we are having in this regard. So this will be my.
What action you will take against him as district magistrate?
Sir, I think as a district magistrate, I have to finalize the report regarding his involvement, and the later actions has to be taken by the considered departments and the judiciary. I have to first look into that aspect. I'm having this authority that I can take the action against him. And I think my authority will be limited to making a thorough report regarding whatever corruption issue would have emerged, giving a fair assessment of that. And later on, I think the course of law has to take the actions in this regard.
Yeah, but what are the courses of law? What are the instruments available in a district to control corruption?
Sir, I think we are having a number of legislations. The Unlawful Activities Prevention Act. Then we also have the Benami Transaction Act in this regard. And I think even recently we had also passed some legislation regarding the involvement of such people when either when it is collusive corruption or a cooperative corruption. I'm not very particular about the specifics, but I will be abiding by whatever is mentioned in these legislations. And if I am having the authority, I will be doing as per whatever has been mentioned.
Okay, thank you very much, Pulkit.
Thank you, sir.
Harish ji.
Yes, hello, Pulkit Singh ji.
Good afternoon, sir.
Yeah, good afternoon. Now, you said your hobby is agroforestry. Now, that looks like to me there is an internal contradiction in this hybrid word, because agro and forestry are very perhaps opposite to each other. What do you do in this?
Sir, if we talk about the contradiction, I think that could be because of forests are clear to extend agriculture. We are using a harmonization in this regard. So if I talk about specifically about my own experience, we are having a area of around 2 acres on which we have planted the trees in a matrix format. It is around a matrix of around 10 feet by 7 feet. And as a result of which an area is, we can also get an area in between this tree. Specifically, we are planting popular tree in this. And in between, we are planting a regular crop or a seasonal crop. We have specifically planted turmeric in this regard. So this is the way by which you are going forward in this. One is a kind of a perennial crop, another is a seasonal crop, a combination of these two, whereby you try to enhance your revenue and somehow compensate the risks that is associated with agriculture as a practice.
Yeah, but it's more of agriculture and less of a forestry, isn't it?
Sir, I think in forestry also we focus on trees, and seeing the economic considerations, we do go for such trees. We might not think of the promoting conventional forest in this regard. It is undertaken as a economic activity.
Okay. Now tell me, why did you leave a job at DRDO, which is a very fine institute, government's institution? What did you do there?
Sir, first talking about my doing there, I was recruited as a scientist B, and I was working in the gas turbine research establishment at Bengaluru. And there my role was, I was specifically working in the gas turbine division on the cooling of the turbine blade. Now coming to the other part of the question, sir, I think, yes, it was very difficult for me to decide regarding leaving my job, because firstly, it was in congruence with my father's profession, who was also having a background of armed forces, and it also matched with the skill set that I had that time. But I think I got a wisdom from my parents as my grandparents that if you want to seek for more exposure, and that I eventually wanted that time, and I believed that at that time I was just a 23-year-old kid, and I seek more exposure regarding the various aspects I can look into. So hence I decided to quit my job and start with.
But what can you do as a civil servant that you think that a very fine engineer at DRDO you valued less?
Sir, sorry, sir, I did not value it less. It was about the preferences that I was having that time, and regarding a more holistic understanding regarding various aspects, because of which I decided. And talking about the role I can have as a civil servant, and specifically talking its incidence on DRDO, I think if in future given an opportunity, if I am fortunate enough and I work in the defense ministry, I think I will act as a better integrator, whereby I can act as a communication bridge between the services and the DRDO.
But that is not guaranteed that you will work only for defense as a civil servant. Okay, that's fine. But don't you think you are demoralizing all the engineers who are really working as engineers?
Sir, I don't think that my action is demoralizing the engineers. It's an individual choice, what he prefers, that it will be more suitable for him, and his own inclinations regarding exposures and the kind of experiences that he wants to have. And there are various aspects in making a decision regarding the career.
Okay, fine. That's your choice. Now tell me, you are a mechanical engineer. why India has not done well in terms of manufacturing sector, particularly low volume, high value products.
Yes, sir. Sir, if I start with in general form, if we talk specifically about sciences, our country is facing two major challenges that are in the field of material sciences and the electronics. And if we look any of the major engineering system right now, it is inevitable that without significant progress in these two areas, we will be achieving significantly. This is about generically speaking about the challenges that we are having in sciences. And if we talk specifically regarding why we are not excelling in the kind of manufacturing that, sir, you have mentioned, I think it again comes that we are lacking on innovation in terms of deep technology. Yes, we are definitely contributing in terms of manufacturing, but it is more about the application of the core or the basic sciences or what systems have been developed elsewhere. But somewhere we are still lagging in terms of investment in the core R&D sector right now.
But I do think it's because of innovation. I don't think so, because if you look at Korean companies like LG or Japanese companies, they have not really innovated much. They have just reproduced what has been developed, but they have added value to that those products, and that is why they have done very well. Can't we do that?
So definitely, sir. We do it. We are going into the value addition, but this value addition is also substantially enhanced if we can identify the basic functioning of a system. If we talk about like, yes, definitely by value addition, we have developed various ancillary industries and various frugal engineering techniques, but at the core, it will be always the basic sciences that will be taking any country at the forward. Historically also speaking, if we talk about the advent of Europe, it was relying on the innovation that they were having in sciences. And even if we talk about the current superpower United States, it is riding on its investment in the basic sciences. So that is some area that we need to really focus. We can work on.
What would be your recommendation for Indian government to have a mark in the manufacturing, especially high value manufacturing?
Sir, I think whatever the government is having a way forward in this regard, they have started investment in terms of promoting the electronics industries. They are having certain policies like the production linked incentive right now, which is promoting a person to come into these sectors. And moreover, in recent times, they have also eased out the ease of doing business reforms. And my suggestion will be, sir, just to have a better implementation of this and to just the path that the government has taken, that we have to go. What I believe, we have the solutions. What we are lacking is regarding their implementations.
Okay, my final question. India is approaching 75th year of our independence. Can you count 3 good achievements, the best achievement that India has, and 3 flaws that we could have done better in those lines?
Sir, my first and foremost achievement will be the continuation of a democracy. And for a country like India, where the critics at that time were skeptical that it won't survive even for a decade, it is a significant achievement in this regard. There's a second achievement will be in terms of especially the achievements within its limitation that we have achieved, especially in the space sector, the achievements regarding Mangalyaan and Chandrayaan that we can count. And the third achievement will be in terms of the growth that we are seeing in the recent years, as a result of which we are counted as an emerging economy. And sir, if we talk about the limitations will be in terms of the inequality that could have been arrested in a much better way. The second will be, sir, in terms of we could have done much better in terms of enhancing our reputation at the international level, or emerged as a significant diplomatic power. And so third limitation I can identify will be regarding the rights of the vulnerable sections and the protection that we have extended. Yes, philosophically and constitutionally we have extended significantly, but substantially, especially on the economic lines, we could have done much more than what we have done.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
So Pulkit,
Yes, sir.
am I clear to you? Absolutely.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir,
Okay.
you're audible, sir.
Okay. So Pulkit, first of all, I will ask you what exactly do you feel about your performance in this mock interview?
So I think there were certain areas, especially regarding politics of Haryana,
Hmm.
regarding some nuances of the role of a SP or a collector,
Mhm.
known more clearly about their limitations or the authority that they have,
Yes.
and specifically regarding certain legislations. So maybe it would have added to my knowledge.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. So Pulkit, just a few suggestions from our side. Well, you
Yes.
are good. You are good. There is no doubt about it. But there are certain areas where you need to prepare slightly more. One, you have already said that about Haryana. So knowledge about the entire thing about Haryana, geography, history, political leaders, and why Haryana is famous, what is its agriculture, everything you need to have a complete knowledge. Now, the knowledge about the Lals, that question which was put up to you. Now, that is a very relevant question in the case of context of Haryana. And you know, you yourself mentioned that when I asked you that question, that for all wrong reasons Haryana is known, you mentioned Ayaram Gayaram, but you did not remember that Ayaram Gayaram concept was introduced by Bhajan Lal. So Bhajan Lal was one of the three Lals who were instrumental, and Bansi Lal was in a way, instrumental in the emergency. You see, so you need to know about Bansi Lal, Devi Lal, and Bhajan Lal. Deputy, and you said vice prime minister. There is no such thing as vice prime minister. There is a deputy prime minister. So Devi Lal was deputy prime minister. Okay. Then, so more about Haryana. Then about when you were asked a question on how will you streamline, the criminal, how will you, what action will you initiate to ensure that the crime is controlled and so on, the duties of the superintendent of police. That also, you were not able to remember that the most important tool which you will require is technology and the forensic tool. You see, these are the two things, because now it has become very modernized, the entire thing, and investigation. So you need to remember that these are the tools inter alia. There are other tools also, but technology, forensic science, these are all areas where which you will require to investigate crime in your district. So you need to give a better answer. Now, your delivery was good, structuring of sentences was good. Most of the questions you answered well, but sometimes you were probably not knowing the answer, so you came out with wrong answers, or you tried to guess. Guesswork will not help you at all. And where only when you are 100% sure about the answer, only then you should answer that. So go back and study slightly more. I'm not at all trying to say that you are not good. You are good. There is no doubt about it. Particularly your body language is very good. Your the way of speaking is very good, and the only thing that you require is knowledge. Now, some of the things which you were probably not able to bring out when the questions were asked, for example, difference between inquiry and investigation. These are very mundane and elementary things which one is expected to know. So you must go back and understand the nuances and these small things which concerning the district administration, the investigation, and so on. Then the CBI, the role of the CBI, the role of the CBC, this you have to know. And then when you are asked question about the corruption, you are not able to come out with the laws which regulate, which are concerned with corruption. So the Prevention of Corruption Act is the most important, law. And then there is a Delhi Special Police Establishment Act, so which governs the CBI. And there are many other, laws also. So therefore, you must know, having first-hand knowledge about the laws on corruption. And then the first thing which you could have done, said, was that you will register an FIR. The moment you come to know that there is a element of corruption somewhere, you need to register an FIR. The FIR by its name is First Information Report. So that's the first thing you have to do. And then one more thing which by way of advice, that do not go in for extreme kind of suggestions. For example, you said that I will register a case against the chief minister and so on. Something like that you mentioned, wasn't it?
Initiate. Initiate action.
Initiate
I will
action.
initiate against them.
Initiate action. Now, these things are extreme opinions. And as a collector, you do not have this kind of thing, power to initiate action against the chief minister of the state. You see, so therefore, be very careful in making such kind of statements. Then about knowledge about some of the current affairs about PM's statement or the meeting between two world leaders, you are not able to come out with that. So probably you need to study slightly more in that regard also. So that's about it. You are very good. There is no doubt about it in terms of your delivery, communication skill, and you have a very positive attitude. That must be commended, but you need to probably study slightly more. You were having bits and pieces of knowledge, but you are not able to substantiate. And one more thing which we will mention, that you were sometime giving answer which were generalized in nature. You have to come to specific by way of examples, because your reply will make a much greater impact if you supplement it with examples and practical applications. That will be much more convincing. So remember at the back of your mind, whenever you are giving answer, first of all, think about the answer, then supplement it with some concrete examples so that it becomes much more effective to the panel. Okay. Do you have any questions?
No, sir. Definitely work on the suggestion that is given by the panel.
You are a potential candidate. There is no doubt about it. You can do well, but don't feel complacent and just go back and study slightly more in these areas, and particularly district administration, about the revenue setup, about the crime situation, about the superintendent of police role, the role of the collector. You see, role of collector and district magistrate or the superintendent of police, it is specific and very limited. It is not something which you can, anything cannot be done by the collector, but the specific things you should know. That is the role as a revenue officer, as a district magistrate, and as a coordination between different departments. Okay, all the best to you. You will do very well.
Thank you, sir.
Unacademy. Let's crack it.